behavior. And in this verse and in the following verses, the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as Super Soul. But does this mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasad. The many saintly persons in the jungles do not treat the tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasad foodstuffs to them. The tigers come, take the food, and go away, just as a dog does. According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house. Because of their uncleanliness, cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman, but are so trained that they stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasad to the dogs and cats, who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but this does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. Just how discrimination should be maintained is given in the following 6 verses concerning the different grades of living conditions. The first division is made between dead, stone-like matter and the living organism. A living organism is sometimes manifested in even as stone. Experience shows that some hills and mountains grow. This is due to the presence of the soul within that stone. Above that, the next manifestation of the living condition is development of consciousness. The next manifestation is the development of sense perception. In the Moksha Dharma section of the Mahabharata, it is stated that the trees have developed sense perception. They can see and smell. We know by experience that trees can see. Sometimes in its growth, a large tree changes its course of development to avoid some hindrances. This means that a tree can see, and according to Mahabharata, the tree can also smell. This indicates the development of sense perception. Om Ajnanatimandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Vidati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Pariyana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayavacha Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare जीवश्रेष्ठ अजीवानं तथा प्राणभृत शुभे ततः सच्चित्त प्रबलाः तथा च इंद्रियवृत्तयः. Living entities are superior to inanimate objects, O Blessed Mother, and among them, living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. So, here in this chapter, we see Lord Kapila is explaining about devotional service to Mother Devahoti. In a couple of sections before this, this particular section, Lord Kapila is answering Devotee's question, where she is asking a wonderful question about explaining in detail the path of bhakti, right? Which is the root cause of the knowledge of Sankhya and the ultimate end of all philosophical systems, right? The ultimate end of all philosophical systems is bhakti. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanshasmi tatvataha. Only by the process of devotional service one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in that explanation of bhakti, Lord Kapila is explaining nicely about pure devotional service in previous sections, different angas or limbs of bhakti, which gives rise to pure bhakti. Then he explains about offenses in bhakti due to hatred, disregard, and criticism, and how to overcome those offenses. He provides a solution, right? And one of the solutions he provides is to realize the presence of Lord in everyone, right? Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini suni chaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshina brahma bhuta prasanatmana sochati na kangsati sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Bhakti labhate param. To see everybody with equal vision. And in the previous words, right, yeah, he explains about that we should see them with equal vision, and then through charity, respect, friendly behavior, and equal vision, one should propitiate the Supreme Lord. Propitiate me means to please the Supreme Lord, who abides in all as the very self. So the Supreme Lord is, as a super soul, is present in each and every one of in each and every living entity. In each and every living entity, the super soul is present, right? So then the question comes that, oh, we see with equal vision how to discriminate while giving charity. And that's where this verse comes, where then Lord Kapila explains about that inanimate objects, right, are like stones, right? They're inanimate objects. And Srila Prabhupada explains that even some stones grow because soul is present within them, right? But then there are animate objects, like living immovable entities, like the trees. And in Mahabharata, we see that trees can also see and smell. Like we see all the trees in Vrindavan. You won't see a standing tree in Vrindavan. They're all bent. Why they are bent? Because they want to touch the dust. Because they see the pastimes of the Supreme Lord happening. So they touch the dust. uh, uh, in Vrindavan. So that's where we see the reference of trees who can see and smell. And more developed than the tree are living entities with greater life symptoms, or living entities with different forms, or living entities with developed consciousness. Right? We have these different gradations of living entities. Right? This entire verse is there in Shastra about different forms of trees and plants, then the aquatics, then the beasts, right? So here there are different gradations given. Entities with developed consciousness, entities with sense perception, then beings which sense perception means beings with touch sensation, beings, living entities with many legs, living entities with two sets of teeth, entities with distinguished forms, entities who can hear, entities who can have a sense of smell, entities with taste sensation, animals with four legs, human beings with two legs. Right? And so in this entire section from this verse to 34th verse, this entire gradations of the jivas are mentioned. That human with two legs are supposed to have more developed consciousness than animals with four legs. Right? Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam. Right? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is there otherwise in the four-legged animals also. Right? So what is more distinct in these two-legged human beings? That they have more developed consciousness, more developed sense perception, that they can think about dharma. Right? They can think about dharma. Dharma yesha adhika vishesha. And if they cannot, even after having this human form, if they do not think of dharma, dharma naina pasubi samanam, they are like animals, two-legged animals. So that's where further gradations in human beings also mention about those who have no interest in thinking about dharma. That what is the real dharma? Right? And that's where we have these non-varnashram humans, humans in varnashram, and then ultimately the most developed human is a brahmana. That's why Srila Prabhupada mentioned that I'm here not to make many stars. Just like in the sky, at night time, we see so many stars, and it gives a little bit of light. But if there is one moon, it illumines the entire sky. Right? So similarly, a brahmana, the head, right? If our movement is to develop more brahmanas, so that they can preach the science of Krishna consciousness to everyone. Preach the science of Krishna consciousness to everyone. They become Krishna conscious and preach the science of Krishna consciousness. So, and then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes so many wonderful points about discrimination. He says, oh, yes, we should see them with equal vision. Vidya vinasam pane brahmana gavihasteni. Right? Like an elephant or a dog. We should see them with equal vision. But that does not mean that equal vision means now I stay with the tiger. Or Srila Prabhupada makes his point about stay with cats and dogs. And then he mentions about that how tiger, do not stay with the tiger. No, means, how do we benefit the tiger? By giving prasad. And how in the forest, saintly people will leave some prasad somewhere, and tiger will come and uh, take that food. And same thing he mentions even about cats and dogs, that they basically are unclean, right? Our entire purpose is to love God, right? Now, instead we start, we go on a walk and we start waiting for the dog to attend its natural call. And then, okay, there is a place where we went to New York for New York Rath Yatra, and then there are places for uh, putting the dog drops. So you collect the dog drops and throw it in the dustbin. So instead of serving God, it becomes serving the dog. Since it served God, Supreme Lord. And how do we show compassion for cats and dogs? By leaving food stuff outside. By leaving food stuff outside. And even after leaving food stuff outside, you will see those, if you start leaving that, cats and dogs in the neighborhood will always come there. They could identify a spot where foodstuffs are left, so they'll always come there to eat. In that way, you'll show compassion for those living entities. So the compassionate householder will supply prasad to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. So similarly, we must treat the lower living entities compassionately. But that does not mean that we treat them in the same way as human beings. Yeah. Okay. That's what this verse entails. And we can discuss on this topic a more question answer session. So this entire section is about gradations in the jivas and how we respect this, see this jiva with equal vision, and at the same time have discrimination. Yes, Samritananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for a nice class, Prabhu. My question is, like my Guru Maharaj says that the human being has two needs, to love and to be loved. And what we see now in Kali Yuga, because of the deterioration, humans are getting worse than animals. You know, we are selfish, self-centered, manipulative, this, that, whatever. So people are becoming very lonely because we have that intrinsic need to love and to be loved. And then what happens is that many people, we can't get along with each other. And divorces, this, that, whatever, either at workplace or in the personal life or whatever. There's a lot of friction. So people are preferring company of animals, whether cat, dog, and nowadays some very wealthy people, especially in the Middle East, they also keep tigers and lions. And you know how we take dogs on a leash, they take these guys on a walk, they train them. So Prabhu, and we also see that how the instruction of acharyas is that according to time, place, and circumstance, you be very faithful to the essence. And then in implementation of that or preaching, you could have flexibility. So then how do we, the Vedic instruction is that animals should be kept out of house vis-a-vis a human need for love and be loved, Prabhu. How do we understand that?
Yeah, wonderful. So, love and be loved, right? So, man is a social animal. It needs, as you mentioned about that, otherwise loneliness strikes them. Now you can think in the same manner. How about sannyasis? Wouldn't they feel lonely otherwise? So, one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness, he never feels lonely. Srila
Mm.
Prabhupada mentioned that, oh, my other god brothers are thinking that, oh, I went to the waste for forgetting the instruction of my spiritual master. In fact, he was carrying out the instruction of his spiritual master, preaching the West. But they are criticizing, thinking that, oh, no, in the West I will get no, allured. But not for a single moment. I have forgotten the instruction of my spiritual master. I carry my spiritual master within my heart.
Mm.
Right. So when we are completely absorbed in spiritual master service, in the service of the Supreme Lord, then we won't have time. Believe me, we won't have time to feel lonely. We won't have even time to feel lonely. And the association of devotees are there. Now, no, as you mentioned, no, okay, no, we may not be getting along with each other. Fine, no, do some service, be absorbed in some service where other people are not needed. Solitary service, organization of jewelry, solitary service, organization of this, cleaning that. That does not need not distributing books, going out on Harinam. Okay, it requires multiple devotees, but even we see in the early videos of when our movement spread rapidly, even a devotee by himself will also go out chanting on the street, right? And will make others chant. So when all this are there, right, then to me it's kind of difficult to understand. It's like I'm out of a job from end of January, and I don't feel for a moment lonely at home, right? Thinking that, oh, no, miss, what will happen? No, miss, I have no company, I cannot, I'm not going to work, I'm not this, I'm not that. I mean, so many things I can do, right? So many things I can do. So it's the way which how we cultivate. Otherwise, means, we will get absorbed. Like Bharat Maharaj got absorbed in thinking about the deer. He was at the stage of bhava, right? But he saw this in a solitary place. He was performing devotional service, and he saw this deer no, gave birth to a child, and then the mother deer passed away. And out of compassion, he started taking care of the deer. And ultimately, what happened? He became so absorbed in the activities of the deer, or whether it ate nicely or not, or slept nicely or not, right? So the point is, yes, we have some food stuff. We leave it outside. I have leftovers in my refrigerator. What do I do? I, I leave it outside. Don't worry about, oh, who will come and eat. Next day or day after I see, that plate is completely empty, right? So no, that way, even in India, we live outside. the foodstuffs which is left. Or we will leave outside. First meal which we prepare, we leave it outside after offering to the Lord for the cows. Yeah. So, in that way, we can think about compassion for the other living entities, and at the same time, be absorbed in our Krishna consciousness, so that now we don't deviate. No, it's not a necessarily a deviation, but at the same time, it is some additionally something which now we have to think separately, just like we have a child, right? Yes, we will be absorbed in the upbringing of the child. But ultimately, that child will think of giving Krishna consciousness and all. Right. That, oh, somehow or other, Krishna has entrusted me with this child. So I need to bring them up in Krishna consciousness. That becomes our duty. Right. But if we extend our duties, that's where Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about the point of this cats and dogs and tiger, just like snake is another living entity. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned that, my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, one time the snake was there, and the first thing he said, it should be killed. Right. Compassion to the snake has to be shown by killing it. Right. Not now there are people, as you mentioned, there are people who even have a pet snake. Right. But ultimately, what would happen? Snake by nature are envious. One day or the other, it will bite. Right. One day or other, it will bite. Because none of their nature. So, that's where discrimination has to be there about how we show compassion. I remember in a question answer session, said, when this verse was discussed years back by my Guru Maharaj in Tobacco, Vidya Vinaya Sampanna, this equal vision, then why do we have a separate place where men sit and separate place where women sit? Why not? Guru Maharaj mentioned that, do you sit next to a tiger? No. Similarly, that final discrimination should also be there. That butter should not be sitting next to a fire. Right. Yeah. Is that okay, Amitabh?
Yeah, Prabhu, very nice. I like that point about how sannyasi, so we should reach that stage. And I can link it up to the Atma Ram, a person who's self-satisfied. But if you are thinking of God, serving Krishna, you're never alone.
Yep. Atma Ram Munayo. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We are already at 7:01. That's good. Okay. Thank you, Amitabh, for this nice question.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you all very much. We'd like to wish all of you a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Nrsingo, Jai Nrsingo, Jai Jai Nrsingo, Praladesha, Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Pringam, Ugravira Mahamudam, Jalantam Sarvatomukam, Nrsingham Bhishanam Bhadram, Shisham Mrityum Namyam. Nrsinga Bhagwana ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaja ki
Jai.
Offer our humble obeisances to all the Samul Vaishnavas, Vancha Kalpataru, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Vaishnavinda ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Ila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Premanande,
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.